Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Audience Marketing Show, brought to you by Prospect Night. I'm here with my older brother Reese.
Hello.
And my younger brother Marcus.
Hello.
And for those that don't recognise my voice, I'm Luke. As always, we're discussing all things audience marketing, and in this episode called No Junk Mail, No Junk Marketing, we're going to be talking all things junk. So to kick things off, it's probably worth us giving a definition of what we mean by junk mail for those listening. So what's your opinion on junk mail, Reece?
Yeah, for me, Luke, anything that is irrelevant to the end consumer, right? So anything that they don't want to receive is of no interest to them whatsoever.
So it's got a bad... I guess a bad rep for being high junk and high wastage. So what like a physical example? So like something like Domino's Pizza, what would you class that as?
Well, Domino's Pizza, the majority of the mail they send out is a door drop. So a door drop, if anyone doesn't know, is something you're targeted to as a postcode area. So the minimum door drop you can do in a postal area is 2,500. So it doesn't take a rocket science to understand the targeting in that is very low. But you could argue someone like Domino's, who are huge, they're looking for a larger audience. So they potentially want to send something that is blanketed.
So is it, with direct mail and door drops, is it almost inevitable that it has to be junk mail?
No, not at all. So the way to break it down with physical mail, you have four types of mail. You have a door drop, which I've just described then, which is blanketed. You're targeted through postal areas. You then have partially addressed mail, which is used very similar, but you can be a little bit more granular with. And then the third one is addressed. So you're addressed by your name and your home address. And then the fourth one is an insert. So an insert is inserted into something else, like a box or a parcel, and it's given to you that way.
So we're not classing any physical mail as all junk.
100% not.
I guess it's trying to understand when and how you can use each of those different formats.
For me, junk mail is junk mail when it's used wrongly and incorrectly. So for me, it's when the targeting is wrong.
So I think a good example, so Domino's, I think you're right. If you're doing a door drop and you want to send your menus out, you've got a good chance of being kind of relevant to most people in that area.
Correct.
I guess the challenge could come where, if we use a live example of a client that we have selling contact lens to people, door drops, I guess, is not going to be a great way, because the chances of hitting relevant people that are contact lens wearers in the door drop example, I guess, Reece, is not the best time to be using that channel.
100%, Luke. I think brands that are not mass market, I think door drops or partially addressed are probably not the best route to go.
Okay, that's fair. So I guess that's really similar to... So I guess in a digital sense, we would class that as prospecting, right? So very broadly, prospecting, remarketing. I guess from a door drop point of view, and I guess partially addressed to an extent, you'd class as prospecting.
Correct.
Because we're obviously, we don't know who these customers are. We think we know who they are. We're going to do it on demographics. We're going to do it on audience types, blah, 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 blah. But I guess even in that sense, from a prospecting, it's not, we don't have as much information on people as we would from a digital sense, for example. But is it fair to say then, Reece, that you would, to prospect new customers, door drops partially addressed is the way that you would prospect people through physical mail?
Yeah, unless you're buying cold data, the only way you can prospect through mail is through a door drop or partially addressed. So for me, if I had a budget, I would probably opt for digital on the prospecting route unless you're buying cold data.
Fine. Okay. But then on a remarketing front, so re-engaging customers through print, what do we feel in that in terms of, is there much wastage in that?
So for me, remarketing in print is huge. I think it's so underestimated. I think not enough people are doing it. I think the reason people aren't doing it is a reason for people to start doing it, because the way that digital is at the moment, it's great and it's really effective. But for me, the fact that print is slightly dying off, I would be putting my money into it, because it's such a market that's quieter at the moment, and you can be the one who's creating the noise in it.
So we talk about, there's people out there that talk about attention. Mm-hmm. I mentioned Reece's favourite fan of Gary Vee. People talk about attention, and I think however you name it, I think it's a really good point, Reece, that as other channels do get kind of really, really competitive and there is lots of noise, direct mail, there is a place, or because the doormat, I guess, is becoming a lot less busy, so you've got more chance of grabbing someone's attention, and there's not many other channels where you can literally get into someone's house.
Well, let me throw it back to one of you two then. So when was the last time you received a piece of print or direct mail from a brand that you love, that you are at the moment being targeted through another channel?
Very infrequently. I can't remember the last time I received remarketing through the letterbox.
And how would you feel if you received something from your favourite brand in the post?
I think you'd feel valued. I think you'd feel like you're being treated as a loyal customer. You feel like you've been treated differently to everybody else. So I think in terms of building brand loyalty and advocacy, I can definitely see potential in it.
But I guess even on that sense, then keeping on the theme of sort of junk and wastage, there's still people that are doing remarketing through mail that is high wastage. So
Yes.
there's a great example that I have is like a beer subscription I used to do. I won't mention any names, but I left that subscription company probably about 2 years ago. I think was the last time that I bought something from them. I would say once every 3 months, I get a postcard through the letterbox, and it's basically saying, "Hi Luke, please come back. Here's £20 off." For me, like I have no intention of going back to them. Like they're a great business, but I need to stop drinking a little bit more, and I don't want to do a beer subscription. So for me, although they're using their channel to kind of identify me and say, you used to be a customer, I want to hit you, great use of the channel. But I think from a data perspective, I've not done anything with, I've not acted on that piece of direct mail for the last 2 years. Why not exclude me?
Which is very interesting, because I know who you're talking about, because I receive the exact same thing in my post box, and I do re-engage. Every few months I'm subscribed to them, and then my fridge gets too full of beer because I don't drink it quick enough. I cancel again, and then I'm a lapsed user. They send me that mail and I'm back again. So for me, I should be carried on remarketing to, because I'm sending them the signals that I want to stay engaged with the brand. You are not. So arguably you should be stripped off of that targeting list.
100% Marcus, and just the point to add, I do not believe that you do not drink beer fast
Yeah,
enough.
I think that is a lie.
That's definitely not true. But no, I think that is such a fair point. I think that goes on to the point of understanding the audience. But just before we do move on, like one more bit on the prospecting, Reece, from you is, and this is something we do get asked quite a bit, but can you prospect and can you acquire new customers through print? What would you say to someone who is looking to prospect and acquire new customers through print?
So for me, Luke, print is really not best suited for prospecting. I know that's quite controversial to say, but it just really isn't. For me, digital, you can get so much more granular with it. I think, okay, you can build lookalike audiences off of the back of digital and put it into print, but you're only targeting people through their postcode area. So for cold prospecting, unless you're a large business, mass market business, it really isn't the way to go.
So I guess it's with everything, isn't it? It's where your money is best spent. And if you can get a better return, better performance in digital.
Which there is also a lot of wastage, and people don't often talk about junk mail online. It's always just considered what comes through your letterbox. But there's a lot of junk on social, on search, through digital as well, isn't there?
So just junk marketing.
Yeah, that's what we call it, junk marketing.
Print and more kind of traditional channels do get a lot of stick, and they're called it, like everyone knows what junk mail is, and you get the little things on the letterbox, don't you, that says no junk mail, and the postie's not supposed to put stuff through your door. That's obviously always had a negative rap, but 100% agree with you, Marcus. There is a lot of junk marketing in general.
Well, people don't realise how much junk marketing they receive. Like, you scroll down Instagram or Facebook, we're so used to seeing the advertising now that if you're not interested, you just scroll past it. I can't remember the last ad I saw. That's from the user's side. From our side as the advertisers, lots of brands also don't realise how much junk marketing they're putting out, because you don't measure those sort of metrics. You measure your revenue and your conversions, and you don't measure the top of it, which how many wasted impressions you're generating.
Because that goes back to the thing, doesn't it? It's a lot of sort of vanity metrics.
Yeah.
I want loads of impressions. Whereas actually, if you were as a restaurant, and you was if we go back to bricks and mortar, if you're a restaurant, you can get 50 customers through the door who are going to sit and they're going to eat. Or you can fill the restaurant with 200 people. It's going to be super, super busy, but none of them are going to buy or sit down and eat. You'd rather have the customers that are going to pay that money. And
Yeah.
I guess digital has made it very easy to do junk, because you can if I wanted to, if I was shifting a pair of trainers online, if I wanted to, I could target whole of the UK.
It's very easy to generate impressions online. It's very difficult to generate positive attention online. And I think that I would actually disagree that people look at impressions as a vanity metric. And I would say people don't look at impressions. They don't look at reach, because it's almost, most of the time, the number is too big. This is completely honest. Most of the time, that number is too big to like even comprehend or care about. So you go on and you look at transactions or revenue or leads, because that's the number you care about. If you look at the impression number and focus on it, that's where you'll find out, like, we are reaching a lot of people who are not interested in this product.
Because that's the key bit, isn't it? If we go back to Reece, the definition you gave of junk mail is ultimately something that's irrelevant to the person that's receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
How many ads, and it's not even just social, but how many ads in general, I would do digital and offline, but how many times do we see stuff that's completely irrelevant to us?
Yeah, we're surrounded by junk marketing, online and offline, and it's a very difficult thing to get right, but it can be done.
And I guess there's massive ways to rectify it, and I think that's what ultimately we're on a mission to do, is go, we need to recognise that there's a lot of junk out there and there's a lot of kind of ineffective marketing. But I think a great example is one that you mentioned to us the other day, Marcus, and I don't know whether you want to say who it was.
Well, I will call them out, try not to be too aggressive, but a lot of advertising you'll see that is irrelevant, you'll just ignore. Every now and then you'll see one that is so irrelevant, you'll pick up on it. And I got that the other day on Instagram. And consider this, firstly, I'm a Tottenham Hotspur season ticket holder for 24 years now. I follow all the social profiles, all the players. I'm very obviously a Tottenham Hotspur supporter through my social presence. I received an advert from Arsenal. If you're not interested in football, it's the complete opposite of Tottenham, biggest rival. I received an advert for their season tickets and to buy individual tickets throughout the season. Whoever is managing that account, for some reason, has got that completely wrong, because I am the opposite of what their target market is, and that is just junk.
100%. There's probably not a better definition of what a good example of junk is. And for reality, how could people rectify that? I guess it's really simple. When you're building these audiences out, you can literally exclude people that have an affinity or they're associated with the pages, they follow the players. You can exclude these from your ads. So something that is what a really simple fix, people are just kind of ignoring it. And I think because it's digital, it doesn't really get that much kind of negativity around it. Whereas if you received a letter through your door at home from Arsenal Football Club saying...
Yeah, I'd fucking burn it.
It's a bit extreme, but yeah, 100%.
I like it. I like your passion.
I think with direct mail, people will go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting this. Whereas actually, it's easier to exclude people. It's easier to get your targeting right online, purely because we have so much information that we can target people on, or indeed exclude them on. It's harder to get it right on direct mail, yet that gets the rep.
It's a good point.
Digital definitely has more wastage, but like you said, Luke, it just doesn't get the bad rep like print does, because print is something physical. You have to do something physical with it.
Yeah,
you have to put it in the recycling bin. You have to put it in your bin. You have to maybe burn it, like Marcus said. But I swear that digital has got so much more wastage that people are not aware of.
And when we talk wastage, right? So obviously, as a consumer on the other side of the table, we find it annoying. It can maybe give a bad opinion of a brand. What does it actually mean for a business? So when you talk about wasted impressions, so what are we actually talking?
So with a platform like Facebook, like Google, they encourage advertisers like us to get the best engagement, so the best click-through rates, because obviously a click for them means money. Because they want to encourage us to get the highest engagement, the most clicks, they reward advertisers with lower costs. So the higher click-through rate you have, the lower costs it will be for the business, because for Facebook and Google, that actually means more clicks for them and they make more money at the end of it. So for us to not focus on wastage as an industry is actually quite damaging to your performance. So although you might not want to care about impressions or click-through rate because you're more worried in your revenue and your return on ad spend, if you do focus on those top metrics, it's going to have a knock-on effect to the overall bottom line, your ROI, your return on ad spend.
So it's money, either money spent or money earned. It has a direct impact.
Yeah. Google created quality score because before, whoever paid the highest got to the top. Quality score is essentially a measurement of how relevant an ad is to the user based on what they're searching and what landing page you're going to give them. The higher your quality score, the lower your costs. It's as simple as that. If you focus on putting relevant ads to relevant users, higher click-through rates, you're going to get a high relevance score, high quality score. the user's happy because they're getting a relevant ad. Google are happy because people are using their ads and they're making revenue. And then ultimately we're happy as well because we're getting cheaper clicks.
Okay, then. So what can brands do more to move away from junk?
I guess a great one is excluding customers. People bid on brand, Google, all the time. Really simply, reduce wastage, exclude your current customers. How many times do we search for Canva, for example? We're a member, we subscribe, and we're getting a join Canva now and get 10% off. We're already a customer. So we as marketers might click on that ad and just say, well, that's poor targeting, so we're going to click on it. But think how much wastage there is on that side. Stop being lazy. Like, I know that's one of the massive things. So to go back to Marcus's point around targeting, like just think about it rather than just buying into these stereotypes. Is I'm selling a razor subscription, therefore I'm going to target every man over the age of 16, 18, depending on how old you are when you start to get a bit of stubble. Like, that's a massive stereotype. Whereas how many of those people have beards? How many of those people just go rugged? How many people do shave every day? So you've got to really understand who you're trying to target and just put the effort into really honing in on those audiences.
But brands are going to test and learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're biggest advocate of that. Like, we believe in testing and learning. But how do you put that against testing and learning and being lazy? Because there's going to be wastage in testing, right?
Of course there is, but then I would almost say that's positive wastage because you're learning from it, right? You're learning what didn't work. That's very different to just setting out blanket targeting and just letting it roll, because it might be working for you. So you're just happy to let it roll, wastage included, like including junk marketing, because you're making revenue. If you focus on removing that wastage and removing that junk, your ROI is going to get better.
So it's short-term wastage, okay, long-term wastage, lazy.
There's always going to be wastage. Like, there has to be. It's just the nature of it. And I don't think we can set an unrealistic expectation that every one of your ads is going to reach the right user. It never is. Like, it's inevitable with online and offline. The point I think that we're advocating is just to think about it a bit more and just focus on trying to limit it as much as possible.
It's like, if we look at the movement towards becoming plastic free, we'd be kidding ourselves if we said tomorrow there's going to be no more plastics, right? But we're aspiring, we're setting the bar really, really high. So that comes to the same as digital wastage. We set the bar higher. We're under no illusion that suddenly you're going to be waste free.
Yeah, like the beard example, you're selling a razor subscription. You're going to reach someone who has a beard and they like it. They don't want a razor, kind of inevitably. But what about those people like you, Luke, who followed ilovemybeard.com or whatever it is, like on all the different beard products? You should be excluded from that because you're very openly saying to the Facebook data, like, I am a beer advocate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And it's same as the print. Like, make sure we're really honing in on, okay, so if we're sending this particular segment something, what are they doing with it? If they don't even visit the website or they don't go and buy, is it worth us sending once every 3 months? I know postcards are really cost effective, but it's just those really simple bits. So I guess really in summary, I guess it's about just reducing wastage, is being smart, really thinking about who you want that marketing to reach and what does that message say. We can have a whole nother discussion on what the artwork looks like or what the content is that you're serving people, because from a personalization point of view, that's a whole nother kind of discussion point. But really understanding and having a real good grip on who your customers are, who your prospects are, who your old customers are, really understanding exactly kind of what makes them tick, and just making the most of all of the technology we have, all of the targeting options we have. And I guess by making a conscious effort to focus on this, you will reduce the wastage, and that's good for everyone. But I guess more importantly for the people all of the people that are running businesses, it's going to mean better ROI.
Yeah, I would say if you look into your Google Ads account or your Facebook Ads account and you're remarketing to all website visitors over 180 days, you are doing junk marketing, because not every one of those people are going to still be interested in your marketing. Segment that down and target people based on what they've actually done when they've been to your website.
There's big retailers out there that will also remarket to you once you've already bought a product.
Yeah.
So how many impressions are you serving stuff when you've already bought the pair of trainers, yet you're remarketed to every single day for like 180 days a year, whereas actually just exclude people that have purchased that particular pair of trainers and you're reducing your wastage straight away.
Yeah, that is very common in digital especially. Somebody goes to a website, they see the price is too high, no longer interested, they leave. They're still remarketed to. Or someone comes to the website, they look for a few different products, maybe they add to their basket, then don't purchase. That's the guy you want to be remarketing to, not the person who's come and left.
100%. Yeah, no. So I guess we'll close things up. Really, people do hone in on junk mail, and that's a very common word. But junk marketing is massive, and things need to change. So yeah. So thanks for listening. Hope you've all enjoyed it. I've been Luke.
I'm Marcus.
And I'm Reese.
And we'll catch you next time. Thanks again for listening to the Audience Marketing Show. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about Prospect Night, you can find us on the socials or by visiting www.prospectnight.com. The final episode of this series is going to be an Ask Us Anything. So as you're listening throughout the season, just drop us a message, drop us a tweet, LinkedIn, wherever your favourite social platform is. Ask us any questions you have on audience marketing, and we're going to do a nice summary in the final episode. So we look forward to hearing your questions.